Good evening and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 342 and I'm starting a new story. But as far as I know, it may be a story that's about the same deer, the banyan deer. But this story is a story called The Golden Deer. But like I said, it could be the banyan deer, just at a later point in its life. Now remember, the banyan deer was an incarnation of the Buddha, and so is the golden deer an incarnation of the Buddha. Well, once when Brahmadatta was the king and ruling over Benares in India, or what is now India, there was a very rich merchant that died, and he left his wealth to his son. Now, his son, he wasn't so wise with that money. And so it is true when people inherit great sums of money, often they don't, well, respect perhaps the hard work that went into gaining it by the relative that gave them the money. And so this young man, he spent that money very, very quickly on frivolous things, entertaining his friends, buying things that he didn't really need, purchasing and eating delicious but expensive foods. And very quickly his money dwindled until he had to borrow money in order to continue to live the lifestyle that he was used to living. Well, soon he had men, his creditors, after him, the people that he'd borrowed the money from. And he, well, came up with a plan. He called them all together. He said, "Please come with me, for I have buried a treasure right along the banks of the Ganges River. And I'll dig it up and I'll make sure you are all paid." So they followed him to the river, to the Ganges River. And there in a bank, he began to dig. Now, it was just at the end of monsoon season, and the Ganges was flowing with quite a volume of water. And as he was digging, he pretended to slip and fell into the river, and the rapid current began to carry him away. And as it did, he called out for help. But that current carried him so quickly away that not even the stoutest of his creditors dared enter the stream to save him. The young man thought, "Certainly now they'll think that I'm dead, and, well, there's no way now for them to collect the money that I owe them." It was a hastily thought out plan, for the river current carried him very, very quickly into large and, well, dangerous rapids, to where keeping his head above water to catch the next breath was difficult indeed. More than once, his head dipped below the surface of the water for a time that was longer than comfortable for him. And he was no good swimmer. Soon he realized that he would probably lose his life because he did not understand water's ways well enough to pull himself out of that current. He called for help, but there was no one to hear it except the golden deer, who resided in a forest along the Ganges, in a secret place where hunters could not find him. He had golden horns, well, the color of gold. They weren't made of gold. His hair was gold. His hooves, they looked as though they had been lacquered. They were so shiny. When he heard the cry of this young man, he got up from where he had been laying and resting, and he thought, so long as I am able, I will save this man, and ran out of the forest to the banks of the river and saw there the man drifting down the stream. He got to a place where he had calculated that once in the water, he would be able to swim beneath the young man, getting him onto his back, and swim him then to the safety of the shore. This he did. He ran down along the river until he knew that as the young man passed, he could get out in the river and bring his body up beneath him so that the man could be saved. Out into the river, the golden deer went. And as the young man was floating by, he got up underneath the young man. The young man wrapped his arms around the deer's neck. And the deer then swam to the shore. And we'll leave the story there. Find out, what does he do? The deer. Okay. Have a good rest of your day or evening. Come back on Sunday to hear more of this story.